aneurysms. Okay, the most important of them is the aortic aneurysm. Okay, so what is the definition? As I was telling my practical class that a pathology question has to be answered under specific headings. Okay, you are supposed to start with definition, then etiology, then pathogenesis, then morphology, gross description and microscopic description. Okay, then comes clinical features and treatment if you know. Alright, try to formulate your answers under these headings. Alright, so coming back to the class, what is the definition of aneurysm? Can you sit properly? It's a class. A little bit of decorum is required. What is the definition of aneurysm? Aneurysms are congenital or acquired, localized abnormal dilatation of blood vessels or the heart. It is an abnormal dilatation of the blood vessels or the heart. Okay. So there are two types. There is a true aneurysm and a false aneurysm. What is a true aneurysm? True aneurysm involves all the three layers of the arterial wall, the intima, media and the adventitia. Or it also can involve the thinned out wall of the ventricle. What is a false aneurysm? Okay, that is also a dilatation, but what happens in that is, it is because of a underlying wall defect leading to a hematoma communicating with the intravascular space. Okay, so it will ultimately lead to a pulsating hematoma. Now what are the examples of a true aneurysm? Atherosclerotic aneurysm, syphilitic, all these are the underlying causes that can cause aneurysm later on in life. And ventricular aneurysms can also occur as a complication of MI. Okay? And what are false aneurysms? False aneurysms are ventricular ruptures that get contained by the pericardium. The ventricular wall gets ruptured, but the blood is contained by the covering of the heart, that is the pericardium. Okay, and leaks at the junction of the vascular graft with the natural artery. When a graft is put, like you know about in MI, if there is a stent that is to be put, when the stent is put along with the artery, that area becomes weak, and that weak area can lead to the formation of false aneurysm. Okay, so now another topic, smaller topic of this today's talk is arterial dissection. What is arterial dissection? Pressurized blood gains entry into the arterial wall through a surface defect and thus pushes apart the underlying layers. Okay, if there is a defect in the intima of the artery, the blood will enter that and it will separate the intima from the media. That is called dissection. It dissects through the layers of the artery. Okay, so it is a arterial dissection. Aneurysms and dissections are important because they cause stasis and further thrombosis, which can ultimately rupture. Now what is an aneurysm? This is just an illustration to show you. This is a normal vessel. Okay, normal vessel, all three layers of the vessel. Now this is involving all three layers of the vessel, so it is a true aneurysm. It is an abnormal dilatation. It's not normal, it's abnormal, and there is a dilatation of the artery. Okay, this is a saccular form and this is a fusiform form. Okay, this in fusiform, both sides of the arterial wall is affected. It's the shape. Fusiform is a shape, saccular is a shape. That's why the names are there like that. And now coming on to false aneurysm, as I told you, the intima and the media gets ruptured and the covering, that is the adventitia, stops the blood from going out. So it is contained by the adventitia and ultimately forms a hematoma. This is not a dilatation. It is just an extravasation of blood. Okay, that's why it's called false. And then the last one is the dissection. Dissection is if there is a small defect in the surface intima, the blood will enter the media and there will be a dissection. What is the complication of a dissection? Huh? Stasis of blood, yes, it occurs in aneurysm also. Specifically for dissection, what is important? It is an emergency. Why? If you can see, here there is a very small defect. Okay? Blood will continue to flow in this blood vessel. Right? As more and more blood flows through the blood vessel, more and more blood will dissect through the arterial wall. And if not stopped in time, it will go on dissecting until the heart. And then it causes pericardial, cardiac tamponade. Okay? And that's a fatal condition if not intervened with. Okay? That is why arterial dissections are an emergency condition. Even aneurysms are. Okay? Now, what is the pathogenesis? There is in arteries, usually you know there is a turbulent flow. There is constant mechanical stress of pulsatile blood flow. Okay? There are multiple factors that affect and cause the alteration of SMCs. What are SMCs? Smooth muscle cells or extracellular matrix that present in the arterial wall, which causes the the structural integrity of the arterial wall then gets compromised because of alterations in the smooth muscle cells and the extracellular matrix and the aneurysm. What are the smooth muscle cells and extracellular matrix? What are these cells? Okay, yes, and they are a scaffold on which your artery lies. If there is a defect in that, obviously there will be dilatations and dissections and defects that can ultimately lead to many complications. Okay, so what is the pathogenesis again? Going into the molecular details. There is inadequate, please don't talk. If you want to talk, do not disrupt the class. So what happens here? There is inadequate or abnormal connective tissue synthesis. Okay, connective tissue synthesis. Connective tissue is nothing but ECM, extracellular matrix. Okay, so TGF beta regulates the proliferation of smooth muscle cells and ultimately causing the matrix synthesis. So what happens in Marfan syndrome? Marfan syndrome is a defect in the protein fibrillin. Your neat question. What is the molecule that is defective in Marfan syndrome? It is fibrillin. Okay, that causes increased or altered bioavailability of TGF beta in the aortic wall, and that will lead to dysregulated signaling and progressive loss of elastic tissue. If the elastic tissue is lost, the artery cannot comply and it will undergo a defect. Defect matlab an endothelial cell injury. Okay. Coming to mutations in TGF beta, what does TGF beta receptor do? If there is a mutation in this, there will be defective elastin and collagen synthesis that ultimately leads to aneurysm. Now, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome or scurvy, what is there? What is the defect here? It is the type 3 collagen synthesis that is defective, and that can also lead to aneurysm. Collagen synthesis requires what? Why scurvy in this? Vitamin C. Okay, collagen synthesis requires vitamin C, and in scurvy there is deficiency of vitamin C that ultimately causes defect in collagen, type 3 collagen, ultimately leading to aneurysms. Okay, then it can also happen because of excessive connective tissue degradation. If there is increased macrophages that is present in the atherosclerotic plaques, it will cause increased matrix metalloprotease expression, and that will cause degradation of arterial extracellular matrix in the arterial wall, ultimately leading to aneurysm. This is your pathogenesis part. Okay, pathogenesis, why aneurysm occurs in different type of diseases. This is what is being explained here. Okay, and third, it can occur because of loss of smooth muscle cells or change in the smooth muscle cell synthetic phenotype. So when there is atherosclerotic thickening of the intima. What do you mean by atherosclerotic thickening? Plaque is made up of what? Lipid droplets, macrophages, and smooth muscle cells which proliferate. Okay, so that leads to arteriosclerotic thickening, which will cause ischemia of the inner media. Now, what does the media have? What does the intima have that supplies the blood vessel? Vasa vasorum. Okay, so when there is a thickening, what happens? There is constriction of these vasa vasorum. Okay, that will lead to ischemia of the inner media. Okay, when I was in MBBS, I couldn't understand why arteries need vessels. So this is why I'm telling you, how does it undergo ischemia? Is because arteries also need blood vessels, arteries also need nutrients, and that is received from the blood coming from the vasa vasorum that supplies the blood vessels exclusively. Okay, so when there is a thickening, there will be ischemia, and when there is ischemia, degenerative changes will happen. There will be an endothelial defect, ultimately leading to fibrosis and everything, and ultimately leading to a cystic medial degeneration. Even in hypertension is one of the causes of aneurysm. What happens there? There is luminal narrowing of the aortic vasa vasorum. Okay, and that will lead to ischemia of the outer media, and that will ultimately lead to medial degeneration, leading to aneurysm. Okay, so this is the morphological picture. This is a reticulin stain. This is not normal H&E. Normal H&E is pink and blue. This is reticulin stain. What do you see here? These wavy lines. These are the, it's written there, elastin. Okay, sorry, this is not reticulin stain. This is elastin stain. Okay, so this is the elastic fibers. All right, this is normal. This is from a normal artery. Elastin fibers are in continuity here. Okay, all these brown lines are in continuity here. Here there is a break. At these star points, there is a break. Okay, so elastin degradation has started. That happens in Marfan syndrome, ultimately leading to aneurysm. All right. What are the predisposing conditions? We have already been speaking about this. The most common cause is atherosclerosis that affects the abdominal aorta. Hypertension is the second cause. Trauma, vasculitis, congenital defects, and infections like mycotic aneurysms can also occur. So coming on to the most important topic, aneurysms most commonly occurs in the abdominal aorta. It is because of atherosclerosis. What are the sites? As the name suggests, abdominal aorta, common iliac arteries, aortic arch, and the descending thoracic aorta. They are more frequent in men, in smokers, and after 50 years of age. Now, what does atherosclerosis do? Again, there is a compromise in the diffusion of the nutrients and waste in between the lumen and the arterial wall. That will lead to deleterious effects of smooth muscle cells in the media. That will cause medial degeneration and necrosis, and ultimately arterial wall thinning. Okay? In atherosclerosis, there is also inflammatory infiltrates in the form of, which are the inflammatory infiltrate that you see in atherosclerosis? We just spoke about it. Macrophages. Okay? Macrophages lead to release of these proteolytic enzymes that will lead to again ECM degradation and arterial wall thinning. Now coming to the morphology, it typically occurs in between the renal artery and the aortic bifurcation in the abdominal aorta. It can be of the saccular or the fusiform form. It can occur up to 25 centimeters in diameter. Extensive atherosclerosis is present with thinning and focal destruction of the underlying media, and the aneurysmal sac contains bland, laminated, fully organized mural thrombus. Mural thrombus? What is the meaning of mural thrombus? Do you know the literal meaning of mural? No. Here it means the luminal thrombus. Okay, literal meaning is street art on the walls. Okay, now this is a picture where you can see there is a rupture in the large aortic aneurysm. See this aorta here? Okay, and this is the abnormal dilatation which has undergone rupture, and the patient had to undergo surgery to remove this part. Okay, and the cut section shows a thrombus within. All right. Now coming on to inflammatory abdominal aorta aneurysms. These are characterized by dense periaortic fibrosis containing abundant lymphoplasmacytic infiltrations with many macrophages and giant cells. It is a vascular manifestation of IgG related disease. It is marked by tissue fibrosis associated with frequently infiltrating IgG4 expressing plasma cells. And this occurs more commonly in younger patients, and they complain of back pain. One of the symptomatology of abdominal aorta aneurysm is the patient will complain of severe sudden back pain. Okay, and this condition responds well to steroid therapy. Now, what is mycotic abdominal aorta aneurysms? It is because of circulating microorganisms that happens in the case of infective endocarditis in bacteremia. They seed the abnormal dilatation, that is the aneurysmal wall, and the associated thrombus, resulting in suppuration, which accelerates. What happens in suppuration again? Pus formation, and inflammatory cells come in, they start destroying everything. In the process, they release again those enzymes that again leads to medial destruction. Okay. So what are the clinical consequences of abdominal aortic aneurysms? This is important because these are what causes an emergency condition for the patient. It can lead to obstruction of a vessel branching off of the aorta, like the renal artery can be obstructed, iliac artery can be obstructed, and that can ultimately lead to ischemia of the organs that it supplies. Okay, there can be embolism of the atheromatous material. There can be impingement on the adjacent structures, like there can be compression of the ureter or the erosion of the vertebra by the expanding aneurysm. This is felt as an abdominal mass and can simulate a tumor, and it can ultimately lead to rupture in the peritoneal cavity and the retroperitoneal tissues. And when the aorta is your major artery, if it bursts, it is fatal. Okay. What is the risk of rupture? Now this is important for your surgery, OPD questions, clinics. Yeah, what is the risk of rupture of abdominal aorta aneurysm? After the class is over, I am going to randomly pick up people and ask what I am teaching you in the class. Okay? So what is the risk of rupture? If it is less than 4 centimeter, it never bursts. If it is 4 to 5, it bursts at the rate of 1% per year. 5 to 6 centimeter, risk rises to 11% per year. And if it is more than 6 centimeter, the risk is 25% per year. Okay? In surgery, you will learn that if it is more than 6 centimeter, it has to be resected. It has to be intervened. What is the management? It is managed surgically, either by an open placement of a prosthetic graft or with endoluminal insertion of stented grafts. As I have been telling you the entire lecture like a broken record, that timely intervention is critical. Okay, because the mortality for elective procedures, when you plan for the surgery in aortic aneurysms, the mortality is only 5%. And if it is an emergency condition where the patient is having back pain and there is a risk of rupture, the mortality increases to 50%. Okay, the next most common type of aortic aneurysm is thoracic aortic aneurysm. That occurs in what conditions? Marfan syndrome, bicuspid aortic valves, and in hypertension as well. Here also it is because of mutations of the TGF-beta signaling pathway. So, signs and symptoms, there will be respiratory or feeding difficulties because of airway or esophageal compression. There can be persistent cough. Why? Cough and aneurysm, what is the correlation? It's written there. As I told you previously, complication is impingement of the adjacent structure. So when the recurrent laryngeal nerve gets compressed, it will cause persistent cough. There can be pain because of erosion of bone, because of involvement of the adjacent structures. Cardiac disease due to valvular insufficiency or narrowing of the coronary ostia, and aortic dissection or rupture ultimately. So what are the things we learned today? You want to know what questions can come from this topic? And in what form? Aortic aneurysm is a major question. Can come as a 10 mark or can come as a 5 mark. Okay? You can have a scenario. Now you're getting case-based questions, right? You can have a scenario. So that is the reason why signs and symptoms are being taught to you in the classes. Because you will get a scenario, the patient will come with back pain, the patient will come with persistent cough. And if you don't know how aneurysm causes that, you will not know it's an aneurysm. Okay, that is why signs and symptoms are important, because nowadays you're getting case-based questions. Otherwise, as 10 mark question and 5 mark question as well. Very common question to be asked. And in Viva, practical, when you have practical exam, the questions that can be asked here is, what is the difference between true and, it will follow atherosclerosis. In your grand Viva, it will follow atherosclerosis, and they'll ask you what are the complications. If you know aneurysm, utter aneurysm. If you don't know aneurysm, don't say aneurysm. Just say rupture after that. Okay? This is your Viva question. And then when they start asking you about aneurysm, they can ask you what are the differences between true and false aneurysms. What is a false aneurysm? What is a true aneurysm? Very common question in your surgery OPD. Two common questions in surgery OPD that I know of is, what is the difference between true aneurysm and false aneurysm? What are the most common sites? And what is the risk of rupture? There can be more, but this is what I know. All right?